Malcolm, go ahead.
Namaste and good evening. I, Malcolm Anthony, a researcher at IMPRI, Impact and Policy Research Institute, Prabha Sundar Sansthan, extend my warmest welcome to you all to IMPRI #Policy Talk. Today we gather for a panel discussion on the e-SHRAM portal, Shramev Jayate, National Portal for Unorganized Workers, Impact and Way Forward. This discussion is a part of the series, The State of Employment and Livelihoods #Employment Debates. The series is organized by the IMPRI Center for Work and Welfare. We are honored to have Professor Shyam Sundar, who will serve as a moderator of this session. Professor Sundar is a professor in the area of Human Resources Management at XLRI, Xavier School of Management, Jamshedpur.
Malcolm, if you can remove your headphone, the voice is cracking. You can remove your headphone. Yeah, now try to speak. Yeah, go ahead. Yes, Malcolm, go ahead.
We are delighted to be joined by our panelists for the day, Mr. Negi, Mr. Vishram Deshpande, Dr. Sonia George, and Mr. Sheikh Salahuddin. Mr. Negi is the Central Chief Labour Commissioner and the Senior Labour and Employment Advisor, Additional Secretary at the Ministry of Labour and Employment, Government of India. Mr. Vishram Deshpande is the Additional Commissioner at the Department of Labour, Government of Maharashtra, and the Director of Maharashtra Institute of Labour Studies. Dr. Sonia George is the Secretary of the Self-Employed Women's Association, Kerala. And Mr. Sheikh Salahuddin is the National General Secretary of the Indian Federation of App-Based Transport Workers, the Chairman of the Telangana State Taxi and Drivers JAC, and the President of the Telangana State Four-Wheeler Drivers Association. I now hand the session over to Professor Shyam Sundar, our moderator for today, to give the opening remarks and to proceed with the deliberations. We look forward to an engaging and educational discussion. Thank you, sir, and over to you.
Thank you, Malcolm. It's indeed my pleasure to be associated with another important policy-based discussion organized by the IMPRI in association with ISI. I thank both Dr. Arjun Kumar and Father Dr. Denzel Fernandez for organizing this a very important webinar on a very momentous issue, that is the registration and issuance of identity card for 380 to 400 million unorganized workers in the labor market in India. The e-SHRAM portal was inaugurated on the 27th of August, and we are told yesterday by the government till now, till 9th September, 2.7 million workers have registered. And this e-SHRAM portal, by providing a portal for registration by the unorganized workers who belong to heterogeneous sectors ranging from agriculture to street vendor, domestic workers. I mean, it comprises heterogeneous kinds of workers: agriculture workers, domestic workers, gig economy workers, street vendors, migrant workers, construction workers, and so on and so forth. The list is long, as the Second National Commission on Labour in 2002 rightly observed. But what does it say? It says that on registration, the unorganized worker on self-declaration will be given a universal account number, UAN, and also an identity card. Who can register according to the system? People who are in the age group 16 to 59, and they should not be member of Employees Provident Fund or ESI, and they should not be paying income tax and must be working in the unorganized sector. The Social Security Code has provided the definition of the unorganized worker. I don't want to repeat the definitions here as it may be covered by some of the panelists. I'll just flag certain issues here and I would request the panelists to try to address them here. The first question that comes to our mind is that, which Mr. Negi could possibly answer, is there a time schedule for this entire project? What is the gestation period? Now, I just made a back of the envelope calculation. So in a span of about 15 days, the government, we have 2.7 million workers who are registered, which means on an average 180,000 to 200,000 registrations per day. At this pace, if we take the 400 million as the unorganized workers, we might require nearly 2,000 days to register the last worker standing. I'm just making a very outlandish remark. But then, supposing we assume that the entire registration process should be completed, let us say, in 90 days, which means on a day, on an average, 4 to 5 million workers need to register. So what kind of, this is a huge ask. 4 to 5 million workers to register on a day is a huge ask. Even if we take, let us say, 6 months, it would mean 2 to 3 million workers. That is about 20 to 30 lakh workers. How robust is the system? And what is the thinking on the part of the government? This will be my very primary question, because the sooner we finish the registration and issue the UAN as well as the identity card, the better it is for the welfare of the workers and what the promised benefits could reach them. Secondly, there are some concerns that have been raised, particularly in the eastern segment of the country, northeastern segment especially. The Aadhaar seeding is going to be problematic. Will Aadhaar seeding be a factor? Will it hurt the registration process? This is the second question that comes to our mind. Third question is, of course, it is very important Aadhaar to be seeded, though it is a political question, but for labor market governance, Aadhaar seeding is a must. As a labor economist, I concur with the government. And secondly, the bank account seeding also must be necessary, because social assistance, any kind of welfare measure, the money could be transferred to the worker concerned without any kind of a problem. That's fine. So, but what is the extent? What do the statistics say with regard to the bank accounts, with regard to the issuance of the Aadhaar cards? According to the government, over 90% of the Indians have bank accounts, which should cover the workers. Around 129 crore Aadhaar numbers have been assigned so far, and there are about 145 crore mobile numbers registered in the country, which means that there should not be much friction as far as these requirements are concerned. But why this e-SHRAM? What is going to be the big takeaway from the Aadhaar? From the e-SHRAM. The National Human Rights Commission did a study recently in October 2020. It says the access to welfare schemes for interstate migrant workers ranges from 0.5% to 27.5%, which means the lowest level of access is 0.5% of migrant workers and the highest is 27.5% migrant workers. In other words, exclusion has been the norm of the labor market benefits and all the government welfare measures that have been given till now, even during the COVID. So exclusion, labor market exclusion or registration exclusion is a criminal one, and e-SHRAM portal will go a long way in order to cure this systemic malady. So as concerned social science researcher, And as a citizen, I congratulate the NDA government to have introduced this e-SHRAM portal. However, it has come after tremendous amount of pain suffered by millions of migrant workers and unorganized workers. 1979, the Interstate Migrant Workmen Act was passed. 2008, the Unorganized Workers Social Security Act was passed. And 1996, the Building and Other Construction Workers has been passed. But during the pandemic, we had absolutely no data, either of the, excluding the construction workers, of the unorganized workers or the interstate migrant workers. And the Supreme Court had to really hit out on the governmental agencies time and again. In 2005, in 2011, in 2018, in 2019 and 2020, and even in 2021. So it does not come easily. But let us not lament the past. However, we need to recognize the past. But let us look to the future. And that is why we have on our panel Mr. DPS Negi, who is the Chief Labor Commissioner Central and a Senior Labor and Employment Advisor, Additional Secretary, Ministry of Labor and Employment, Government of India. And we have Dr. Sonia Jayate, Secretary, Seva, Kerala. We have Mr. Sheikh Salahuddin, who is the National General Secretary of the Gig Economy Trade Union. And of course, we have Mr. Vishram Deshpande, who retired as the Joint Commissioner of Labor, Department of Labor, Government of Maharashtra, and Director of Maharashtra Institute of Labor Studies. So we are going to get different perspectives, and I shall not waste any moment. And today is Ganesh Chaturthi, and I extend the festive greetings to all the people who are watching this program and will watch later. And these are the issues that I put on the table, and may request now Mr. DPS Negi to provide the central government perspective. Over to you, Mr. DPS Negi. Thank you very much.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Thank you very much, Dr. Shyam, and for setting the ball rolling on this e-SHRAM portal. For today's and I thank and welcome also my co-panelists. And today is the right day to have this discussion about such an important section of the society which are left unrecognized for the last more than 70 years. Today is a Ganesh Chaturthi also. So I wish all of you a Ganesh Chaturthi, and today is the right time to get a government perspective on for this important e-SHRAM portal. As Professor Dr. Shyam, I would call you Dr. Shyam, has said, so this portal was launched on 26th of the last month. 26th of the last month, it was launched by the Labor and Employment Minister, and 24th we launched logo also. Logo was my idea 2 days before, because earlier they were not giving logo, because when I joined this ministry for 1.5 years back, because I wanted to give the पहचान. So, नाम तो है लेकिन पहचान नहीं थी. जो हमारा असंगठित कामगार है उसकी पहचान नहीं है, because he is a person who is staying in the last पायदान में लास्ट में खड़ा हुआ है, उसकी कभी पहचान नहीं थी. So I wanted to give a पहचान to the असंगठित workers, और इसी तरह हमने इसको लोगों को लॉन्च किया है, और लोगों को बहुत सोच समझ के हमने विद इन हाउस काफी इसमें अपना डिस्कशन करके इसको लॉन्च किया गया है. तो जैसे कि आपने बताया कि हमारे इन आवर कंट्री दिस इज अनुमानित 38 करोड़ असंगठित कामगार हमारे इंडिया में. ये सिर्फ अनुमानित है, कोई भी डाटा सेट हमारे पास ऐसा नहीं है, नाइदर विथ एनी ऑफ द रिसर्चर or where any of the government organization or anywhere which pinpoints, they say whether we have got 38 crore, 40 crore, 50 crore, 45 crore or 35 crore. Because this is only अनुमानित जो हमारे जो data है, 38 crore is the unorganized workers in the country. As you Shyam has said, this will be applicable to all the unorganized workers. They should be working in the unorganized workers. They should not be member of EPFO, ESIC, and they should not be income tax payee. But as all my colleagues will know in the panel, nowadays people are moving, especially when we saw the pandemic and when the migrant worker problem came, many people come from the formal side went to formal to informal and vice versa. So it's a continuous process. From one place to the another sector, it was going on. So what we did for this is that then the question comes, why we said e-SHRAM? Because we have seen in the 13 regional languages in the country, SHRAM is the most common word used in the regional languages. So we gave a word e-SHRAM. इसमें जो e-SHRAM में जो हमने करना है, we have got more than around 4 lakh CSC centers in the country, spread across the country, 4 lakh, and we have got state governments. In the opening remarks, Shyam has said how, if we go by this speed, is going to take number of days to complete it. So in fact, I would like to say to registration, we have engaged all 4 lakh CSC centers, all the state governments in the country, their state Suvidha Kendras, all offices of the Labor Ministry, and we have asked all the central ministries and the state governments to get involved and make it the Jan Andolan for the country for registration of the in the e-Shramik port. Till yesterday, as Shyam said, it was 2.7 million. Just now I got a figure, is now is a 2.9 million. 2.9 million is the latest data. Initially, why is going slow? Because when such a big system is developed, some initial hiccup comes in our system itself, whether load is taken or not. So we might be a bit slow in the initial days, but I am sure in the coming days, when the system gets stabilized, when I say stabilized, it will not take 1 month or 2 months. It will get stabilized within 10-15 days. Then the loads, it can take more load because many people want to get registered. And for the many of the workers, like the building construction workers, and for the many of the interstate migrant workers, some data we already had. So we'll automatically take that data set to our set. So around 2-3 crore data we already have with us, with all the variables. 1 or 2 variables are missing. That will be taken. So immediately it will be, if you see within a short time, you find the 1 crore mark will be reached within no time with us. Now, see, this was not only the necessity for the country, because the main advantage of this e-SHRAM portal is that this is the only one card which will be acceptable any part of the country. Everywhere it will be acceptable any part of the country. Any migrant worker goes, a worker, an unorganized worker who is most of them are illiterate, they don't have to register multiple times. They'll register only once in a in fact, I would say in a lifetime. They have to register only once. Another question here, Dr. Shyam has asked me, what is the people start expecting? What is the benefit to me once I get registered on this? Because everybody wants immediate benefit out of this. Immediate, as soon as they get registered in the e-SHRAM portal, they get 2 lakh accidental deaths and permanent disability benefit immediately. Suppose if I register today, unfortunately something happens to me tomorrow or day after tomorrow, I'll get 2 lakh benefit for the full disability and 2 lakh in case of death and 1 lakh in case of partial disability. This is the immediate benefit of the workers who are going to get benefit. In the coming days, the government of India and the state governments are implementing many social security schemes in the country. All the benefit of the social security schemes will be given through this e-SHRAM portal only. And in case of pandemic situation like this, which happened in the COVID-19, this database will be very helpful to the government to reach to the migrant workers. As initially Shyam has said, the government was not having the data also. Government was having data also, but it was not having the foolproof data. Simultaneously, will not wait to this data to be captured in 6 months or 1 year. Simultaneously, I would like to say I was a Director General Labour Bureau also. When I took it over here, I started immediately the 3 major surveys in the country. One is All India survey on the migrant workers. Other is All India survey on the domestic workers, which is going to be started on the 3rd of October. And other is All India quarterly exhibition based employment surveys. There are two more surveys. Employment generated through professionals and employment generated through the transport sector was also started. But the finance secretary, when we went to EFC, they said doing a 5 survey, it will be like a world record for the labor bureau. So kindly give these 2 surveys to the MOSPI. MOSPI is our sister organization, Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. So we gave it to, we told them if they can do, they can do. But these 2 main surveys which I'm said, all the survey on migrant worker and domestic workers, all the preparation, everything in migrant worker survey is already underway. It started in the 1st April 2021, is likely to get over by April 2021 latest, 22 latest. This will give us a huge input for the data across the country, because it's a nationwide survey which is going on. In between, we paused because the pandemic 2 came. Our investigators were not going. So now they are going to go everywhere. In this, we had told all the state organizations, all the state governments to populate the e-SHRAM portal and to get the registered all the workers. As a CLC also, I am going in the majority of the places, and both the ministers and secretary also told they'll also go in the different parts of the country and they'll hold the shivers where the most workers are there. We'll call the trade union leaders also. We are calling them in the ministry also, tomorrow also. In fact, today also I was supposed to go to the Dehradun, and tomorrow I'm again going to the Mathura refinery and to Agra to meet the all trade union leaders and to media, because we have to disseminate the information. There is some e-SHRAM portal, because असंगठित जो कामगार हमारा है उनके पास जो है इंफॉर्मेशन की बड़ी कमी है. They don't know how to do it. अब बात आती है जैसे नॉर्थ ईस्ट में आपका एक क्वेश्चन था कि if Aadhaar is not there, how they are going to do it. We are, as I told you, we are having around 4 lakh CSC centers. If you go to e-SHRAM portal, it is given, it will point wherever, it will point which is the nearest CSC available to you. Anybody, any worker can go over there, get registered over there, even if it doesn't have Aadhaar. Because wherever there is Aadhaar is not there, MHA guidelines are very clear. You can have 1, 2, 3, that thing. So we'll register them also. Our desire and wish is not to leave even a single worker out of this e-SHRAM portal. And for this, we have formed the state level monitoring committees also. At center level, it will be reviewed by the minister, secretary. As the chief labor commissioner, I'll be monitoring myself. All the 20 regional centers in the country, all the standing instruction has been given to them. They should open, they should help the unorganized workers to get them registered. All the dissemination program, all the material has been given to them. If you want, Shyam, I'll WhatsApp or mail to you after the meeting is over. I request among the participants, among the panelists also, you should also disseminate all the IEC component part to the unorganized workers wherever you go or wherever you hold the meetings, because it gives in simplified and lucid way how to get recognized, and it gives in a pictorial shape which Aam Aadmi can understand very well very well and very easily. They can understand what we want and how it should be registered. And let me tell you, this is a very ambitious program of the government of India. Challenge is big, no doubt. Challenge is big, as you all agree. Challenge is big to get a get a data of 38 crore is not a child's play with our system. जिस तरह के हमारे इसमें सिस्टम की कई बार लाचारी होती है, लेकिन this time government is committed, because we wanted that all schemes of the government of India, in fact later on even in the Narega beneficiaries and other schemes of the government of India, we want to link it, and so that all benefit should go to the person who really deserve it, because and there is a minimum leakage. And the registration in the e-SHRAM portal is very simple. You should have your Aadhaar card, you should have Aadhaar linked mobile number, and you should have bank details. So IEC material, I'll be sending it to the Shyam Sundar, Professor Shyam Sundar. He can share with all of you. And I request to all the panelists, whomever you know, you should spread this message of the government of India, because it is the duty of not only the government, it's the duty of the as a citizen of India also, it's the duty of everybody. You know, I'm saying not as a Chief Labour Commissioner of India, but myself, when this thing was launched on 26th, I almost got 300 people registered myself, those who are known to me, those who are unorganized workers, 300 people as a CLC myself, I got them registered. The question comes, many people don't have mobile. With the one mobile, 4 registration can be made in a one mobile number. 4 registration can be made in a one mobile number. Even if you don't have mobile number, the person who is in formal sector, he can get it registered from their mobile number. But it will be always better, he should have registered from their own mobile number, because OTP will come, because the migrant workers, people will going here and there from one place to another place. How to update that will be another problem. If he update from their own mobile, the alert will go, whether it's a quarterly or 6 monthly, alert will go, whether you are residing in the same place, alert will go. If you say yes, that will continue. And this what initially I have to speak to all of you. And I am very sure with the cooperation of all of you and with the cooperation of all the other NGOs, other things, we will be able to achieve this great big target given to us. It's not only target, it's not a target, but I feel it's a self duty also to get registered all the organized workers in the country. Thank you very much.
Thank you indeed for providing the government perspective. It is very heartening to know that the government is having a plan. And of course, you have said that, correctly said that once it gathers momentum, it should be a matter of time. Maybe you said that it may be even less than 3 months, it could be accomplished. Sir, I just have 3 questions to which you could possibly answer. Number 1 is that the allocation made to the Labour Ministry in the recent budget, and of course the government has allocated 702 crore rupees. Will this be sufficient to tackle the expenses in order to register, in order to manage the entire system of registration? Is the Labour Ministry adequately funded? That is question number 1. Question number 2, is it possible for the existing registration, say under BOCW Act, to transfer them seamlessly to the e-SHRAM portal? I mean, with some gaps to be filled in. And what kind of other dissemination strategies that the government will have in mind? These are the 3 questions from me. I'm sure there'll be other questions that will come. So thank you very much, sir, for providing an excellent perspective of the government, even the vision of the government. Now I request Dr. Sonia Judge to provide the informal sector perspective and what will be the problems which the government, I'm sure, would like to listen to you, Dr. Sonia Judge. Over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Shyam, and thank you, IMPRI, for organizing such a contextual discussion on the e-SHRAM portal of the Government of India. And it is a very clear perspective from the Senior Labour Commissioner of the country regarding the whereabouts and the proceedings of the portal and how it is going forward, and the government's thoughts on it and how it is putting those things into action. So first of all, I think it's means we have to congratulate the government to initiate such an action, even though it has been pushed by the Supreme Court of India to have a data of the informal sector workers in the country. So because for decades, the informal workers in the country, they have been asking for a recognition in this country as a worker, as a laborer in the country. So there have been many agitations, there have been many collective bargainings, there have been many negotiations, tripartite, bipartite, means all kinds of negotiations with the government, at different levels to get a recognition for the informal workers in the country. So I think as the data is well said, 2.9 million workers have registered till now. That is the latest. 29, I have seen 29 lakhs 58,000 something workers have registered until now. That is the latest portal data that is showing. So the data is increasing, maybe as Professor Shyam said, with the number of the estimate workers in the informal sector in this country, and the kind of variedness of the workforce in the country, and means for such a big population, such a big demographic position that the workers in this country share. I think it's a tedious process. It's a long process. So maybe unions like us, as a person representing one of the biggest informal sector unions, women workers unions in the country, maybe I would like to share some of our anxieties or some of our what you call, maybe these are not suspicions, but more or less our anxieties, and our concerns towards this process. First of all, means it was already said about the entire digitization aspect of the project. Means maybe I think the workers who have registered, if you look at where and what kind of workers have registered until now, we can easily find out that means they are people who have some access to maybe the internet or smartphones or whatever it is, they would have registered. Means that is easy. That is no doubt means to register. But on the other side, means the millions of workers who have not yet reached to this portal, they are denied of this internet or smartphones or those kinds of basic amenities even to register. And we have said that CSCs is one of the solutions. But there will be workers who may not even have access to CSCs in this countries because of the complexities of the informal economy or the informal sector. For example, maybe I would like to start with the domestic worker. Domestic workers work in somebody else's home. So third-party home is their workplace. So when you see the question of visibility and invisibility of the workers, of the informal workers in the country, this invisibility matters a lot when it comes to such systems. So how are we going to address the invisibility of the workers, huge number of the informal workers? We say, millions of workers are in bonded labor, forced labor. Millions of workers are working in their own homes. They are not even considered as workers at any part of their work life. So what are we thinking of? Or is there a system to locate these workers in place? That is one of the questions that I have to ask as part of this concerns. And the second thing is, can we categorize the organized and unorganized as just a binary? Means organized means, I think we know the organized sector in this country, or the formal and the informal, the unorganized. Can we categorize this under just a binary of organized or formal or informal? From my understanding, or as a person working with the informal sector for more than 22 years, it's like it is not very easy. Because organized means, that is formal means it's completely formal and organized with the kind of working relationships, with the employment relationships and the employer where it is positioned, the workplace where it is positioned. But when it comes to the informality or the informal working conditions or the informal economy, means there is such situations. Means there are plenty of such situations, numerous situations where we look at people who work with an employer, who work in a fixed place, but who work without a fixed place, people who are taking multiple jobs. Today I will be a domestic worker, maybe in the afternoon I'll become a street vendor, or tomorrow I'll become a home-based worker. Means the multiplicity of jobs that I am forced to take because of the livelihood situations in this country. I think this multiplicity of jobs and the multiple identity a worker or will be forced to take at different positions. It could be seasonal, it could be as part of like the pandemic or natural disasters or whatever it is. So this is a very serious question that we have to take. So in that, first of all, it is coming in the meeting also, where I was also part of the meeting where Honorable Labour Minister convened with the central trade unions of the country. I was also trying to raise these questions. Means, how do we differentiate, distinguish between employer and employee? If I have an employer and if I'm going to register in a government portal, means whether I should have the right to say that I have an employer. I have to declare that I have an employer, because we don't feel that state is in the means we still believe in a tripartite negotiation. We don't believe that state is the sole decision maker or the sole responsible person for social security or rights of an informal sector worker. Means there are different parties who are playing. There are contractors, there are other middle agents who are part of that, apart from the employers. Means it's a whole chain. Means for example, in the home-based workers, we see it's a huge chain, and there are different types of workers who are taking part in the supply chain, where home-based is the least chain in that chain. So how do we address the complexities of these kinds of multiplicities that the workers have to encounter, either with the principal employer, with the contractor, with the middle person, or whoever it is, and the third thing that is coming is self-employed. Means that is where on account enterprises, that also means it has different categories of self-employed, and there is a tendency now to categorize the self-employed as entrepreneurs in this country. So that maybe means that also creates again confusion amongst workers in that process. So how are we addressing these questions in the portal? Is the portal capable of addressing this nuances of the workers being part of an employer-employment relationship, employer-employer relationship, or a self-employed, or means taking work or a contract labor or whatever it is, the multiplicities or different forms of employment relationship that is existing in these countries. So how do you explain such kinds of employment relationship and how the portal can access that? That is the second thing that I have to raise in this quest. And the multiplicity of trades that we have said, means already it is said, no, it is, but I think in Seva itself, we have more than 150 trades of informal sector workers where our membership belongs to. That is only for Seva, I'm saying, but there may be many trades that have been not even included in our list in the informal sector workers. And also, and the last thing that I would like to raise here is, we have said about the codes. Now the codes, we are in the discussion of the codes, and the government we are hearing that the government is going to notify the codes with the rules in this country, especially the Social Security Code and the Occupational Safety Code. So we have seen that many of the significant laws in the countries have been merged. For example, the Migrant Workers Act of 1979, it is being merged under the Occupational Safety Code. When it comes, the Migrant Workers Act is in the State Migrant Workers Act. It has covered various aspects, but in the code it is mentioned under 5 clauses, and we have to say that the entire rights of migrant workers comes under these 5 clauses. So that means when a migrant workers is registered under this portal, what are the rights that, or what are the benefits that a particular worker is being entitled to? That is still a question that the government has to answer in this process. Of course, there are many social security schemes, but we are saying we need sectoral social security, sectoral recognition, and sectoral benefits for the workers who are part of the informal sector in this country. And when you look at many states, like I represent Kerala, many states have their own specific social security schemes and under definite social security acts also for the informal sector. What is going to happen to the schemes or the laws that is already existing in certain states like Tamil Nadu? There is this Manual Workers Act where more than 17 sectors are covered in the act. So in Maharashtra, there are different there is a Domestic Workers Welfare Act, and Domestic Workers Welfare Board is formed under this particular thing. So means the workers are already in the process of registration in these social security schemes and boards of the states. So, and now when the social security code is going to be in existence, if it is, then what is happening to the state level schemes, state level boards, state level laws, and the workers who are already registered? So means, are you saying no, there will be multiple registrations happening for a worker in the name of social security, and from where they have to claim the social security, and what registration will be considered valid for lakhs of or millions of workers who have already registered under these schemes, when they work under or when they register under the new portal, what is going to happen to the existing registration and existing recognition of them in those particular states as part of this process? So that is the last thing that I would like to share as a concern in this process. So maybe we have, as unions, working in different sectors of the informal sector workers, especially with the marginalized, the poorest, the invisible workers who have no access to the system or who have no access to the mainstream process. So how do we do it, or what are the suggestions? Maybe a country who works, this is my last point, a country which has various departments, various ministries, and which has a strong local self-government process that is happening in the countries. If it could have been considered, tying up with the local governments for the registration, for the recognition, means it would have been helping millions of workers to get access to this, and how should we plan the convergence process of different ministries, of different departments, in order to support the workers, because informal sector is so vast, so complex, and so scattered. So these are my concerns. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sonia George, for raising very important concerns. I would like to highlight three for the benefit of the viewers and listeners, and also to Mr. Negi. Number one is that what happens if the workers are digitally excluded? Even with all the institutional safeguards that the government has taken, let us say, including the CSC, etc. Will they be left out? Will registration, in other words, will registration be a mechanism for exclusion? That is the fear, because they do not have the digital wherewithals. That is point number one. Point number two, given the heterogeneity and the complexity of the unorganized sector or unorganized worker, it's a matrix that the National Commission for Enterprise in the Unorganized Sector has given. Is the portal capable of taking care of all the nuances and the complexities that exist in terms of multiplicity of jobs, multiplicity of employers, or what kind of employers to be declared, particularly for the home-based workers who have a huge supply chain? And thirdly, what happens to the millions of workers who are already registering under one scheme or the other, either central or the state? What will happen to them? Will they be subsumed under the e-SHRAM portal? The last one is a very serious question that the central ministry has to take into account, because labor welfare is both a central and the state entitlement. So these are very extremely important questions that Dr. Sonia George has posed, but I'm sure that these are operational logistical issues, and I'm sure that the government will consider. Thank you, Dr. Sonia George. Now, the gig economy has been rising in the recent times, and the gig economy gig worker has been recognized legally only under the Social Security Code, but not in the other codes. So to unravel all the complexities and the problems I know that are faced by the workers in the gig economy, which is a formless economy, which is an identity crisis-faced sector in the labor market. To explain all this, I request Mr. Sheikh Salahuddin to share his views. Over to you, Mr. Sheikh.
Thank you
You
so
will
much.
speak in Hindi for, and that will be all right.
Thank you so much. इस मौका दिए उसको सभी को और सभी मेरे साथी पैनलिस्ट को सबको गुड इवनिंग। चीफ कमिश्नर साहब ने सब कुछ अच्छी तरीके से बताया था, बस थोड़े से मेरे समझ में ये आया और थोड़ा अभी भी मेरे पास डाउट्स है, क्योंकि हम लोग इतने बड़े जब गीग एंड प्लेटफॉर्म वर्कर्स की बात करें तो आई थिंक 130 मिलियन का एक बहुत बड़ा आंकड़ा है हमारे पास अप्रोक्सीमेटली। चाहे इसके अंदर ओला उबर ले लो, स्विगी जोमेटो ले लो, अमेजॉन डेंजो, बहुत सारे ऑनलाइन कंपनीज है, ऐप बेस्ड कंपनीज है, वो सारे कहीं ना कहीं छूट जा रहे। हम लोग तो कहा अच्छी बात है, गीग वर्कर्स प्लेटफॉर्म वर्कर्स को जरूर इस अनऑर्गेनाइज्ड वर्कर्स के अंदर जोड़ेंगे और जोड़ रहे, बट यहाँ पे अभी भी कंफ्यूजिंग है। ये लिस्ट है हमारे पास, एक 56 कोड्स की लिस्ट हमारे पास है, इसके अंदर 156 के अंदर कहीं पे भी गीग और प्लेटफॉर्म वर्कर्स का कोड नहीं दिया गया। और अगर जहाँ गीग एंड प्लेटफॉर्म वर्कर्स का कोड नहीं देने की वजह से बहुत सारा कंफ्यूजिंग अभी भी डिलीवरी बॉयज में है, ड्राइवर्स में है, वो जाके कहाँ पे कौन से एंगल पे रजिस्ट्रेशन करें, वो बहुत बड़ी दिक्कत हो रही है। वो स्टेट गवर्नमेंट्स के पास भी क्लैरिटी नहीं है। हम बहुत सारे स्टेट गवर्नमेंट्स को भी पूछा इस बारे में, तो सारे स्टेट गवर्नमेंट्स ने, लेबर डिपार्टमेंट ने ये कहा कि इसके ऊपर हमें अभी भी कंफ्यूजिंग है, वो जब तक सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट से क्लैरिटी नहीं आती हम उसको कुछ नहीं कर सकते। तो बहुत सारे जैसे कि टैक्सी ड्राइवर जो है ड्राइवर के एंगल में भर रहे, कैब ड्राइवर के अंदर, और बहुत सारे जो है अदर्स में डालो बोल रहे। अदर्स में डालने से कोई इसका शॉर्ट आउट नहीं होगा मसला, ठीक है। जब हम लोग इतने बड़े पैमाने पे अगर जब बातचीत कर रहे तो गीग एंड प्लेटफॉर्म वर्कर्स की, तो कहीं ना कहीं जैसे कि हम अभी मैडम भी कहा बहुत अच्छी तरीके से, सोशल सिक्योरिटी कोड में तो हम लाया गया गीग एंड प्लेटफॉर्म वर्कर्स को, और हर जगह हमने कहा भी गीग एंड प्लेटफॉर्म वर्कर्स को भी अनऑर्गेनाइज्ड वर्कर्स में रजिस्ट्रेशन करेंगे। तो कैसे करेंगे, वहां पे कोड क्या डालना है, वो बहुत सारा सस्पेंशन अभी भी बहुत जनों में है, मेरे में नहीं, क्योंकि वो क्लैरिटी स्टेट गवर्नमेंट के पास भी नहीं है। ये बहुत बड़ी दिक्कत हो रही है आज के तारीख में। और ऐप बेस्ड वर्कर्स अगर जा हम लोग गीग वर्कर्स प्लेटफॉर्म वर्कर्स भी अगर जा नहीं रख सकते, तो एटलीस्ट वहां पे हम ऐप बेस्ड वर्कर्स को सारे को तो एक जगह जोड़ सकते। तो वो भी एक छोटी सी मेरी आपके साथ राय मशवरा है कि अगर जा यहाँ पे कुछ अगर जा हम कुछ कर सकते क्या, क्योंकि यहाँ पे ये दो एंगल भी खुले हुए हैं। जितने भी वर्कर्स है अगर जा हम देखें तो ऑटो ड्राइवर्स के अंदर भी पोर्टल से गाड़ी चलाने वाले हैं, ऐप से चलाने वाले हैं, ठीक है। तो ये बहुत बड़ी आज के तारीख में दिक्कत, बहुत बड़ी दिक्कत हो रही है। और रही बात ई-श्रम पोर्टल को हम लोग जब भी लॉग इन करने जा रहे हैं सेल्फ के अंदर, तो बहुत सारे लोग इतने तो पढ़े लिखे नहीं है, जो सबके पास सॉफ्ट फोन्स भी नहीं है, थोड़े उनके पास है, थोड़े उनके पास नहीं है। जिसके पास फोन नहीं है, जो हम नॉर्मल फोन बोलते, उसके पास ओटीपी तो आ रहा, बट वो लिंक करके फिर जनरेट करना उससे हो नहीं पा रहा। तो इसके लिए आसान तरीका सीएससी सेंटर्स तो गवर्नमेंट ने बहुत अच्छी तरीके से प्रोवाइड करा। जैसे कि अभी सर ने कहा 4 लाख सीएससी सेंटर्स पूरे इंडिया के अंदर है, सही बात है। मगर कल लास्ट मैं कल तक भी देखा था सीएससी सेंटर्स के पास, सारे सीएससी सेंटर्स जितने मेरे नेटवर्क में है, मैं बातचीत करा हूं और वहां पे भेज के भी देखा हूं, बहुत सारा सर्वर डाउन है और वहां पे अभी तक सीएससी सेंटर्स में वो एनरोल करने के लिए प्रॉब्लम हो रहा। और जहां पे सीएससी सेंटर्स में थोड़ा थोड़ा अगर जब कार्ड निकल रहा, तो वहां पे आप यकीन नहीं मानेंगे 30 से 50 रुपया वहां से एक कार्ड के ऊपर ले रहे, प्रिंट निकालने पे और साथ ही साथ जो है उसको कार्ड बना के देने में। तो थोड़ी ये बहुत बड़ी दिक्कत है, थोड़ा इसको अपन कार्ड तो फ्री में दे रहे बोल रहे। तो वहां पे जो सीएससी सेंटर्स वाले लोग हैं, वो लोग बोल रहे कि हम 1 घंटा आपका ही ओपन करके क्यों बैठेंगे वेबसाइट, हमारा भी तो दूसरा कारोबार है, हम उसको भी सोचना है, आपके एक के पीछे हम इतना समय नहीं दे पाएंगे। तो ये बहुत बड़ी दिक्कत की बात हो रही सर्वर डाउन होने की वजह से। मैं भी मानता हूँ ट्रैफिक की वजह से बहुत सारा सिग्नल एकदम थोड़ा स्लो चलेगा, थोड़ा बहुत वेबसाइट भी स्लो चलेगा, मैं मानता हूँ, बट थोड़ा सा इसके ऊपर और थोड़ी तेजी करने की भी जरूरत है। जैसे कि अभी सर ने कहा कि 2.9 मिलियन लोग ऑलरेडी रजिस्टर होके हैं, बहुत अच्छी बात है, और हमारे पास अभी बाकी के लोग को भी जल्द से जल्द कराने की भी पूरी कोशिश करेंगे। और हमारे पास और एक बड़ी दिक्कत क्या है, बहुत सारे जनों के पास जब सीएससी सेंटर जा रहे आधार से लिंक वाला मोबाइल नंबर पूछ रहे हम, तो यहाँ पे मेन प्रॉब्लम यहाँ पे आ रहा, आधार से लिंक वाला मोबाइल नंबर बहुत सारे जनों के पास नहीं। तक मेरा आंकड़ा है 63% लोग के पास आधार से लिंक्ड जो है मोबाइल नंबर नहीं है। तो वो फिर से क्या करना पड़ेगा, अपने आधार सेंटर को जाके अपना नंबर एनरोल करा के आना पड़ेगा क्या, ये बहुत बड़ी दिक्कत की बात है। अगर जब वहां से फिर अपडेट कराने जाएंगे, आधार के दिन एक दिन पूरा चले जाएगा, फिर सीएससी सेंटर में एक दिन पूरा चले जाएगा, तो एटलीस्ट उसकी 2 दिन की भी फिर वहां पे ज्यादा चांस है। क्योंकि हम लोग कितना आसान कर सकते हैं, मैक्सिमम हम लोग आसान बहुत करें, और आसान करने के लिए कुछ इसके अंदर और कुछ काम कर सकते हैं। और एक भी मेरा एक रिक्वेस्ट है, बहुत सारे जने हम लोग जो है अनऑर्गेनाइज्ड वर्कर्स के अंदर तो रजिस्ट्रेशन हो जा रहे, मगर सबसे बड़ा आज के दिन ये भी सवाल है, क्या फिर से गीग एंड प्लेटफॉर्म वर्कर्स का, जब फिर से गीग एंड प्लेटफॉर्म वर्कर्स का इसके अंदर रजिस्ट्रेशन का नेशनल सोशल सिक्योरिटी स्कीम के अंदर लाके फिर से रजिस्ट्रेशन का ऑप्शन पूछेगा क्या, फिर से हमें रजिस्ट्रेशन कराना पड़ेगा क्या, जब वहां पे भी वो भी एक बड़ी दिक्कत की चीज है, वो क्लैरिटी नहीं है। अगर जब यहाँ पे गीग वर्कर्स और प्लेटफॉर्म वर्कर्स रजिस्ट्रेशन कराते, तो फिर से जब सोशल सिक्योरिटी कोड जब बाहर कोड में से जब बाहर निकल के नेशनल सोशल सिक्योरिटी एक बोर्ड जो बन रहा, फिर से वहां पे रजिस्ट्रेशन कराने का अलग अपॉर्चुनिटी है, या यही अपॉर्चुनिटी है और यहाँ का डाटा और यहाँ का इंफॉर्मेशन ही वहां पे हम इस्तेमाल करते क्या, ये थोड़ा क्लैरिटी नहीं है। या नहीं हम सबको रुकना पड़ेगा कि जब भी गीग एंड प्लेटफॉर्म वर्कर्स का नेशनल सोशल सिक्योरिटी बोर्ड बनेगा जब भी रजिस्ट्रेशन कराना पड़ेगा, ये चीज भी हमें सोचना है, थोड़ा और क्लैरिटी होना है। और एक बात है, बहुत सारे जनों को ये भी थोड़ा डाउट है कि हमारा डाटा कहीं चोरी ना हो जाए, जैसे कि आधार हमारा इंफॉर्मेशन बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट इंफॉर्मेशन है, हम बहुत सारे जगह कोर्ट में भी बाहर भी हम बहुत सारे सोशल एक्टिविस्ट से भी सुने हैं, हमें एक तरफ से रोके थे, याद है अच्छे तरीके से, हम आधार कहीं नहीं पूछेंगे, और सुप्रीम कोर्ट का भी डायरेक्शन है आधार नहीं लेना, और बहुत सारे लोग का ये अपील है कि क्यों आप आधार कार्ड लिया जा रहा और बैंक के पर्सनल डिटेल्स भी वहां पे लिया जा रहा है। मैं मानता हूं आधार तो एक मैंडेटरी रखे जरूरी है, वो अगर जा हम क्या कर सकते थोड़ा उसके लिए भी थोड़ा सोचना पड़ेगा। अगर जब हम लोग इतना सारा डाटा लैक्स ऑफ क्रोड्स ऑफ मिलियंस ऑफ डाटा ले रहे, तो इनका सिक्योरिटी भी क्या है बोलते, सो थोड़ा सबके दिल में और दिमाग में डाउट भरा हुआ है। और एक बात, जितना भी हमारे प्लेटफॉर्म वर्कर्स है, गिग वर्कर्स है, ऐप बेस्ड वर्कर्स है, इन लोग सबको कानून तो बन गया, सोशल सिक्योरिटी अभी तक ड्राफ्ट रूल बाहर निकल के नहीं आया, और इनको कोसे प्लेटफॉर्म के अंदर जोड़ा जा रहा और कोसे डिपार्टमेंट के अंदर पूरा प्रक्रिया लगाया जा रहा है, जैसे कि गिग वर्कर्स प्लेटफॉर्म वर्कर्स लेबर डिपार्टमेंट में आते, या ट्रांसपोर्ट डिपार्टमेंट में आते, या आईटी डिपार्टमेंट में आते, ये अभी भी बहुत सारा कंफ्यूजिंग है। तो ये सारे चीज जो है डिलीवरी बॉयज के, ड्राइवर्स के, जितने भी लोग एग्रीगेटर्स के अंदर मिलके काम कर रहे हैं ऐप बेस वाले, ये सब के दिमागों में अभी भी घूम रहा है कहीं ना कहीं। तो इस सारे चीज का थोड़ा क्लैरिटी होना चाहिए, और थोड़ा इम्प्लीमेंटेशन होना चाहिए, और थोड़ा अवेयरनेस होना चाहिए। खुसूसन आज हम ई-श्रम पोर्टल की बात करें तो स्टेट गवर्नमेंट्स असल इसको इम्प्लीमेंटेशन नहीं कर पा रहे, जितना सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट का फोकस है ई-श्रम पे, स्टेट गवर्नमेंट पे दिखने के लिए नहीं मिल रहा। आप चाहे कोई से भी स्टेट गवर्नमेंट पे देखिए, स्टेट गवर्नमेंट इसको मार्केटिंग नहीं कर रहा, स्टेट गवर्नमेंट इसको पब्लिक के बीच में नहीं लेके जा रहा, लेबर मूवमेंट के बीच में नहीं लेके जा रहा। ये हमारे को आज के तारीख में सख्त जरूरत है, यूनियंस को भी बुलाए, उनसे बात करें, जैसे सर ने कहा, बहुत अच्छी तरीके से कहा, यूनियन से भी मिलना चाहिए, यूनियंस का इंफॉर्मेशन लेना चाहिए, यूनियंस को कोलैबोरेटेड होते हुए इसके अंदर रोल करना चाहिए। अब हमारे पास तेलंगाना के अंदर तेलंगाना गीग एंड प्लेटफॉर्म वर्कर्स यूनियन भी एक्टिव काम करने का ये रखा के फैसला कि कितने भी लोग हैं उतने लोग को रजिस्ट्रेशन कराए एक प्रक्रिया के अंदर, कैंप लगा के इसका ही। और ऐसी इंडियन फेडरेशन ऑफ ऐप बेस्ड ट्रांसपोर्ट वर्कर्स के तरीके से भी हर स्टेट के अंदर हम लोग क्या कर रहे, थोड़ा एक सेटअप लगा के, कैंप लगा के हम लोग वहां पे रजिस्ट्रेशन प्रक्रिया करने के लिए स्टार्ट कर रहे हैं। मगर कंफ्यूज यहाँ पे यही है कि हम लोग जुड़े कहाँ पे, ऐप बेस्ड वर्कर्स का ऑप्शन भी नहीं है, गिग वर्कर्स प्लेटफॉर्म वर्कर्स का भी ऑप्शन वहां पे नहीं है, ये सारे लोग को हम वहां पे कहाँ पे डालें, ये बहुत बड़ा मसला आज के सामने हमारे पास है। और आखिरी बात बोल के मैं खत्म करता हूँ, ये जितने भी सारे लोग हैं हमारे ऐप बेस्ड वर्कर्स, गिग वर्कर्स, प्लेटफॉर्म वर्कर्स, ये स्टेट गवर्नमेंट के, सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट के जो स्कीम्स है, जैसा कि अनऑर्गेनाइज्ड वर्कर्स का वन नेशन वन कार्ड तो बन गया, मगर स्टेट गवर्नमेंट्स के स्कीम्स भी इसको मर्ज होंगे नहीं होंगे? ये स्टेट गवर्नमेंट्स के स्कीम्स अगर जो अनऑर्गेनाइज्ड वर्कर्स के जो सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट के स्कीम्स से मिलके रहेंगे, या ये सिर्फ ओनली ये कार्ड जो है सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट स्कीम्स को ही काम करेगा? ये भी एक बहुत बड़ा सवाल है। ये चीज के ऊपर अभी भी स्टेट गवर्नमेंट्स को से भी क्लैरिटी नहीं दिए। अब जो ये दे रहे स्कीम अनऑर्गेनाइज्ड वर्कर्स का कार्ड प्योरली सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट स्कीम्स को ही काम करेगा या नहीं, सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट के साथ साथ स्टेट गवर्नमेंट के स्कीम्स को भी मर्ज करके ये स्टेट और सेंट्रल पैरेलली काम करेगा? तो इस चीज पे थोड़ा हमारे को रुक करके क्लैरिटी देके, थोड़ा अवेयर करके, और ज्यादा से ज्यादा पब्लिक के बीच में अगर जब हम इसको लेके जाने की पूरी प्रयास करेंगे, हमारे तरफ से आईफैट की तरफ से भी हम लोग पूरी प्रयास करें कि हर स्टेट के अंदर अपना एक सेटअप बिठाए, कैंपेनिंग करे, इसके अंदर कितने भी डिलीवरी वर्कर्स, ऐप बेस्ड वर्कर्स के इसको।
Thank you, Salahuddin ji, for providing the gig economy workers perspective. You raised some very important questions, but there are two major issues I see for the Union Labour Ministry to tackle. Number one is that under what category do they, given the diversity in the gig economy, can the union government think of several options to be given to them, given their various kinds? For example, an auto driver could be a self-employed, or he can be portal based, or he can be app based. An auto driver, he or she could register as a driver, but it may be missing a lot of detail. So that's a very important question. It's a question of identity, exact identity of the gig, of the person who is working in the gig economy. That's very important point. And secondly, of course, the digital deficit or the digital divide, which is a question that will be asked by hundreds of unorganized workers associations. People who do not have smart mobile, what will they do? And of course, very important point that all of us are concerned is that there's going to be huge data. 400 million workers information data, the date of birth, their address, their profession, their Aadhaar numbers, etc. The biggest question that comes under that apprehension, or even a serious doubt, that question that arises is the data security, the data theft that is possible. Can the government assure, can the government allay the apprehensions of millions of people who are having this data theft, data security issue? And we all know that the kind of things that are happening. So I think that these and other things that he has raised are that resonate with the Dr. Sonia Jaj questions that she has raised. And with these observations, I would like to now invite Mr. Vishram Deshpande. I want to mention that Mr. Vishram Deshpande was personally associated with one of the most successful web portal stories, the most successful web portal story that India has witnessed in Maharashtra, that is e-SHRAM. And also it merited a special mention, congratulatory complimentary mention in the International Labour Conference of the ILO. And of course, for various reasons, e-SHRAM did not continue, and he has been very closely and personally associated with various policy developments in Maharashtra. He retired as a Joint Commissioner of Labour. I had the privilege of knowing him for the last more than a decade. So I request him to share the state level perspective as to what is happening in Maharashtra, because the state governments have also been made a party to this e-SHRAM registration process. Over to you, Mr. Vishram Deshpande. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. Hope I am audible.
Yes, sir. Please go ahead.
First of all, as we say in India, the first thing that is celebrated after marriage or a wedding is the birth of a child or baby. So, first of all, I must, and we all must congratulate the central government, Negi sir and his team for developing this e-SHRAM portal. Bacha aa gaya hai, baby is born. So this baby has come and it has come at a very right time. Unfortunately, all the participants, we realize this aspect, the agonies of this unorganized sector only after the COVID pandemic. They say on Guru Purnima, most of them, I had a WhatsApp message that let us thank COVID. He is also one of our Guru. Because during COVID pandemic, we came to understand most of the shortcomings, most of the things that we have never thought about. And the agonies, the no data of migrant labor or for that sector unorganized labor was one of the foremost things that came to the notice of each and everybody, right from central government to the central state government. None of the state, as Negi sir had said at the beginning, that there is no fixed data that may 30 crores, 40 crores, whatever may be the unorganized sector. Still at present, there is not a fixed or confirmed data about unorganized workers. So whatever it may be, the Supreme Court said that it is an unpardonable apathy towards this unorganized sector. But it's good and it's great that central government has formed this e-SHRAM portal. And as we see that it was inaugurated on 26 August. And by today, there are almost 30 lakhs registration on this portal. That is what is visible on the site. I tried to have a look at the portal. It says that almost 29.53, something like that is the figure. So within 15 days, we have got this much registration. So really kudos, creditable. Now, of course, when the baby is born, obviously, there are some shortcomings and everybody has the habit of looking at the baby, whether he looks like his father, whether he looks like his mother, or whether what are the shortcomings, how he will be, what he will achieve, what will be his future, what I can do for it. Accordingly, this e-SHRAM portal is attracting the same attraction as is being attracted by a small baby in a family. Because informal sector, that is an organized sector, is a vast sector, and you all know, and it is often repeated that it is more than 93%. They say on central government website, it is said almost 85% of the sector is in informal sector. So obviously, this e-SHRAM portal will definitely attract many praises. At the same time, it will also come with some brickbats. Now, coming to the point. At the very beginning, some of this beginning introduction, I missed it because I could not get the connectivity of Dr. Shyam Sundar's address. But he was saying that such a huge data is there, that is almost 45 crores of unorganized sectors that are unorganized workers that we have to enroll on this portal. Of course, it is the greatest challenge for central government and of course also for the state government also. Definitely, as we say, the baby has come, so there will be a plan to do it. Now, coming to this e-SHRAM portal, since I was told that I have to speak from the state's point of view, Shyam Sundar sir and the panelists, I would like to tell you that still it is in a very infant stage. There are some issues with the connectivity problem with the server. And that's why I think most of the states, this e-SHRAM portal is still not functioning with its full strength. In fact, for a day or two, it functioned, and within a day, we had some 300 registrations in a single day. But thereafter, I think the server, due to some issues, it has been closed down or it has been off the hook for some reasons. And I think it will resume within a day or two. So during this period, there was not much of registration in Maharashtra because the technical system is still, technical team is still working on it, and the system is to still operate. So as we all know, whenever Secondly, there's some point was raised by regarding the connectivity of Aadhaar card, very well said by labor economist Professor Sundar, that definitely whenever we are going to give any benefit, linking it with Aadhaar card and linking with a bank account, there should be no option. It should be mandatory. Now just have a look. Of course, we still have a reason. There are many union leaders whom I also interacted, and they also say, and I also know because I stay in India and connected to the rural India also, that we have issues of connectivity, we have issues of telephone, that is mobile phone, Android phone. But I would like to say that just imagine in 1951, our literacy rate was almost, I think, 21%. Now in 2021, our literacy rate has gone to 70%. So obviously, most of the least literate person in India today, I think he holds a mobile and he operates to a mobile. Now, particularly, I am in Maharashtra. Maharashtra is a little progressive state compared to the rest of the state, and it's a really industrialized state where we have industries. At the same time, we have a good organized workforce and a very good veteran and union leaders that also come from our state. So definitely in Maharashtra, even the maids, they use the phones. Even the boy who cleans a car, I think he doesn't have any employment as such. A boy who cleans the car in a society. But even he uses a mobile phone, and almost all of them are having a smartphones. So now, as they say, the phones are going smart, but the people are not getting that much smarter. So let us have it, that let us have the link with Aadhaar card. And of course, as we have experienced that whenever we come out with a portal, the government takes all the measures to see to it that it reaches to the beneficiaries in the most efficient way and with least cost. But unfortunately, in India, there are some, now in case of e-portal, I will use the word, your cyber cafes, some agents, some agencies, just to get these people registered, they charge these people unofficially. Now, how to stop this is the greatest challenge. We have CSC, we have around 58,000 CSCs in Maharashtra state itself. But of course, we will have to have some stringent control on these CSCs also. Their staffing pattern, the person who is sitting there should also be under control of somebody. Because it is not that the CSCs does it, there are some malpractices prevailing in the CSCs also. So this needs to be addressed somewhere. Secondly, this middlemen, cyber cafe people, it is very common. To give a very simple example regarding your MSME registration, the site on MSME says that you will not be charged a single paisa for registration, for registering as an MSME unit. Immediately below that site, there is one web address which says Mera Profit, and that site says that we will give you registration of MSME by charging 1452 rupees. So this is what the central government's agencies, whatever the department it is, I think it is DPIIT, DPIIT department, that must look into it, that let us have check on these such sites which are growing up day by day. And these are the real hindrance for the success of any policy. Now, these are some issues which I could recollect in a very short time. And secondly, I am really thankful to IMPRI, Impact and Policy Research Institute, for conducting this webinar on this e-SHRAM portal, which is a recently born baby, on this day of Ganesh Chaturthi. We say Ganesh Chaturthi is he is a Vignaharta, god of Vignaharta. So it's good that you have started this on this day of Ganesh Chaturthi. I convey my blessings, best wishes to all of you on this day and on this occasion. And of course, this webinar will go a long way in removing all the vignas in this e-portal, because e-portal is the portal that is going to reach out to the poorest of poorer in this country. Now, coming down to the next point, that is, as rightly said, that this e-portal registration should not be a means for rather scanning of applicants, or at the time of registration, the word used by Shyam Sundarji was exclusion being the norms. So let this registration will not be an exclusion, because in the definition of our Social Security Act, the the definition of unorganized workers, it includes home-based worker, worker on wage, but it excludes a person who falls under, who is covered under the ESIC and PF scheme. Now this needs to have a relook, because the e-SHRAM portal has the same definition and has the same criteria as for a person who wants to register with the e-SHRAM portal. Now, what has happened, the word around the industry is that most of the small contractors, now they are in a dilemma whether they should deregister from PF office, whether they should deregister from ESIC office to get their employees registered under this scheme, under the e-portal. So what they should do? This is what we, in fact, we have given them a way out where those workers who are already getting protection under PF and ESIC may even come out of that protection. And of course, so far as Maharashtra is concerned, I understand we don't have any such concrete schemes for unorganized workers from the Worker Welfare Board. We have from BOC board, we have from Mathadi boards, which is peculiar of Maharashtra. But of course, gig board, as Sheikh sir said, that it will be still there, nothing is in picture, but it will come. But definitely gig board, like BOC board also, gig board will flourish, because it is going to charge 1 to 2% on the turnover. So source of revenue that is going to come to the board is very certain, and definitely gig board will be a successful. Of course, it will have a good, if in due course, it will have a good organization structure for it and its implementation. So this definition for registration definitely needs a relook. Then coming to the point of the Social Security Code, if we see it recently, the code says that in case of an hazardous establishment, even if it is employing a single worker, that establishment will fall within the definition of that establishment shall have to be registered under ESIC scheme. That means the ESIC scheme will be applicable even to an establishment having a single worker if that establishment is falling under the hazardous category, or it is manufacturing something hazardous, or it is under hazardous category as defined under the Factory Act. So just imagine, even a single worker, if it is going to come under this scheme, then obviously he will get out from this e-portal scheme. So we need to have some coordination between the current Social Security Code provisions and the provisions in the e-portal. Then coming down to now that it's very good that the central government is looking from both points of view. They are looking at the organized workers by amending, by bringing the 4 codes. Definitely that's a good step. Secondly, at the same time, the central government is looking at the unorganized sector by creating this portal, e-portal. Now what I could assess, since our portal was not functioning for many days, what are the contents of the form in the e-portal? They are mostly related to the personal and his skill center, the skill achievements of the employee. It talks nothing about his place of employment, where he is working, and his wages. These 2 aspects, let us not have more details, but where he is working, his current employment status, because that will be very good for us, because if that can be linked to an employee, and if he gets an assess, employee and employer, I think there will be no need to have Inspector Raj in India. The portal will speak for itself whether that employee is getting the basic benefits of the labor laws or not. So this, if it is possible, if we can include this factor of employment status in that e-portal, that will be of help to everybody, and morely to the employee, and of course to the enforcement machinery also. And then yeah, coming down to, yeah, these were the points which I could guess from the portal presentation, because now since I said that it is very new and it is very very infant baby, and still we could have some points of it, some inputs on it. Secondly, the third thing that we have noticed, what we have noticed, I will share with the honorable officers of the central government also, that whenever there is any election in some constituency, it has been noticed that whenever there is an election in any constituency, all the boards get registration. Everywhere there is the registration increases tremendously, particularly BOC registrations. The same thing will happen in case of this e-SHRAM registration. The moment the elections are declared, many agencies, they will just jump in and start registration on en masse. Most of them, I will not use the word bogus, but some of them are not correct. And most of them are not eligible. So we will have to have some foolproof system, and we will have to see that there should be some monitoring of how many entries should be done per day. Or it so happens that in a day there are thousands and thousands entries in some particular remote part of India, while there will be no entries in, or very few entries in a major metropolitan city. The contradictory is, in Mumbai, we have tremendous construction activity going on, but the number of registration of BOC workers in Mumbai itself is much less compared to some of the districts of Maharashtra, where you would see very less construction activity. So this gap we need to answer, and this is a practical reality which all of us will come across. Let us try to see what we can do in this situation. I think with these few suggestions and with these few things, I would like to close. And the last but not the least is the registration of Narega workers. I understand this Narega schemes came from the EGS, Employment Guarantee Scheme of State of Maharashtra. And in Maharashtra, it was very clear. The law was very clear, and the Supreme Court and even the High Court had made it very clear that an employee who works on an employee guarantee scheme does not fall in the definition of worker under the Industrial Dispute Act. I think something we need to have very clear about the Narega workers. Otherwise, they will also get registered. Of course, if we have a scheme for them, it's all right, but it's a different category, and that we will have to make a provision for it as to how to deal with this situation. Or we need to have very clear definition about where the Narega employees fall. With this, I thank IMPRI for this webinar, and thank you very much, Shyam Sundarji. Thank you very much, Negi sir, Sheikh sir, and madam. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. You had raised some very important operational issues based on the state level experiences, and given your vast experience in labor administration. And it was very important to have the state perspective, that the union ministry will know that there are, if a state of Maharashtra could have its server down and registrations were not happening, imagine what would happen to less placed states. And of course, he has also pointed out a lot of operational hazards like malpractices and interventions by the middle agencies to collect money, and also some technical issues in terms of fine-tuning the social security code, wherein a hazardous establishment, even if it employs one worker, will have to be registered under ESI, and then by definition, the worker, that individual worker, would be excluded from registering under the e-SHRAM portal. And of course, he has also asked about the status of Narega worker, who is technically not a worker under the Industrial Dispute Act, but we are talking about the unorganized workers. Whether Narega worker is an unorganized worker or not is something that we need to deliberate on. So thank you very much, Mr. Vishram Deshpande, for pointing out not only the state level issues, but also the technical issues. And I think it is time to open for the question and answer. I got a few questions, and I'm sure Dr. Arjun Kumar would add. I mean, any panelist can answer these questions that have come apart from the questions that have been posed to each of the panelists. First one is that to what extent e-rupee going to help unorganized workers? E-RUPI, e-rupee. Secondly, can the Union Ministry think of using the e-SHRAM portal for
Mr. Sundar, can you come with the first question? What is
the first question is that to what extent e-rupee, RUPI, e-rupee will help the unorganized workers? That is the first question. The second one is that can the e-SHRAM portal be used for combining vaccination of unorganized workers, the complaints or the status of unorganized workers. Third one is, of course, the data security measures, which the panelists also have raised. Fourth one, again, the panelists have raised what will be the status of Narega workers under the e-SHRAM portal. And of course, there are questions which, of course, whether landowner is an employer, a cultivator is an employer or a worker, is a platform vendor an employer or a worker or a contractor. So these are some technical issues that have come. But the most important question that comes is that what benefits, apart from the promised benefit of accident coverage, what other benefits will the unorganized workers, will those who are registering under the e-SHRAM portal will stand to get? What other incentives can the Union Ministry offer upfront, apart from the accidental insurance, so that they could be incentivized to register? And of course, another question is that can the employers be incentivized motivated in order to ask their employees and workers, to that extent where an employer-employee relationship exists, to register their workers? And of course, the question is that the people whom I have spoken to, most of them have not registered, most of them have not heard of e-SHRAM portal. What kind of marketing strategy can the union and union government and the state governments do? Because the issue is the dissemination, according to me. So,
can we start?
Yes, sir. With these questions, I request.
I think Shyam, it will be better if you ask the each panelist what they should reply, because otherwise you ask so many questions. I don't know which question should I reply or which question somebody else can reply.
It can be self-selection. Those which can be dealt with by the union government, you may answer, sir, and others can.
Because you asked so many questions and the panelists have raised so many questions also. So
those you think which are very of central importance, which can be which you think the Union Ministry is responsible, you may kindly answer, sir.
I think Shyam, thank you very much. You have given a 15 minutes time for this wrapping up time, because I have already planned my next meeting accordingly. So I'll be here with you for another 15 to 20 minutes max. 15 to 20 minutes max. If you have any question, you can ask. Whatever I remember, I'll reply you right away. If I've forgotten something, any panelist can ask me that question. I'll be very glad to reply or send a reply later on to them. Thank you very much for organizing this very important webinar on e-SHRAM portal. First of all, I'll go to the Sonia ji. She has asked a very relevant question. What happens if the worker is having digitally excluded? As my colleague Mr. Deshpande has told is that the number of mobile in India connections is much more than the population of India. So there will be hardly any digital divide now as far as the digital age is concerned. But still, it's quite possible some people may not be having the connectivity issues. That I come from Himachal, in remote part of the Himachal. It might my even iPhone or even my smartphone may not work. For them, what we did to all the panelists, we are told to the district magistrate, SDMs, Tehsildars, Patwaris, and the revenue authorities in the country that they should organize the special camps in the villages, from the villages to the subdivision, subdivision to division, for division to district and division, then to state, then to bigger cities. So that will be taken care. Number two, what Madam has asked is, she asked, is the e-portal is going to take the nuances of the category of workers, trade, and other things? Yes, madam. Right now, I agree. It will not take all the trades, which is we are listed around 400 categories of the unorganized workers. But this is not a final. Let me say, this is 400 is not a final. If you come with any category, like one of the panelists said, this app-based should be added in that. Definitely, we'll add that as a one category in that. But there is a one place, any other. When we click the any other, then we have to mention. Then what? Then he or she has to mention which category it is. Today category is 400. It might go to 1,000 also. So this is not a. It's not a Bible. 400 category which is given in that list now. It's not a Bible. It can be increased. Definitely not decreased. It will be increased. It can go to 1,000 also. It can go to 1,500 also, as varied from the place to place. Same thing is told something else in different part of country. In different part of country, it will be said something else. And to help the people in the different parts of the country, right now this portal which we did in the two languages, Hindi, English, but we are making in the regional languages also, including all the forms, because the unorganized workers understand their own language. So we are making in the all the state languages. Other question, Madam Sonia asked, what happened to states and all? Madam, all the state government in the country, because the federal structure, as Shyam has said in the beginning of the India is a federal country, and federal structure is there. Labor as such is a concurrent list. It is the duty of the everybody. It's a duty of not only central government but the state government also, because industries are working there also. Unorganized workers are mostly in the different parts of the country. So we are involved in state governments from the day one. We at the level of as a Chief Labor Commissioner of India, my Secretary, Government of India, Minister, we are taking meetings and reviews at the highest level also. As a Chief Labor Commissioner, I am taking personal meeting in which Madam was there when she said Central Trade Union was, we took a discussion with Central Trade Union leaders, because we wanted to take everybody on board, because our government doesn't have the many hands and other things. Trade union has to, because all of you are our eyes, ears, and hands and brains. Each one, we are involving each one of them, whatever we know. Like this forum is a very good forum. Like Madam said, she's dealing with a lot of informal sector. Mr. Sheikh said they are dealing with the gig workers. So it is better if you get them, if you mobilize the camps to register with all organized workers. I'll be too happy to ask at the country level common service center to wherever you organize the program plate for camps. I'll ask them to send their CSC people in those camps only, provided you're able to get registered at least 300 or 400, but not for the, if you say to go to their house for 5 persons, that will be difficult for me to handle at the national level, which Mr. Sheikh and Madam can understand. But if you feel there one place camp needs to be organized where 300 or 400 workers, organized workers can be registered, you please phone to me directly. All of you have my mobile number. I'm accessible to people, even organized workers also. You people are very esteemed colleagues. You can call me, or if not call me, if I don't reply, you WhatsApp to me. Definitely I'll reply in the WhatsApp sooner or later. Even if I'm busy in the meeting, I'll definitely reply as soon as I get the time. Other last question, Madam asked, labor is a concurrent subject, which I already replied is a concurrent subject. We are involved from the day one from the grassroots village level to the district level, to the division level, district level, division level, at the state level also, and at the bigger metropolis also. We are taking everybody on board. Another thing was Mr. Sheikh has asked, under what category this gig and workers come, because their gig workers are not only 130 million. They see, I'm saying nobody knows how much is the exact figures of the gig or platform workers. Nobody knows. Yeah, Anumanit, 130 million. We have got data which shows less than that thing. If Mr. Sheikh has got a complete data of 130 million, it is a really great thing. And I'll organize a special camp in his place. If we can even organize those who are following in Andhra or Telangana, even if it's 30-40 lakh is there, we can organize a special camp, provided they have got Aadhaar card. Let me be clear, they should have Aadhaar card, they should have Aadhaar linked mobile number and the bank accounts. But if they are organizing a special camp, CSC will come. Even if they don't have Aadhaar linked mobile number, that can be taken care of in those camps, provided you have got around 300 to 400 people to be registered at that particular date with all these particulars which I just mentioned. Another thing which was raised by my colleague Deshpande ji and Mr. Sheikh is that data is huge. What about the security of the data? Let me tell you, we have got Aadhaar data, seeded data with us. When you put, because why you want Aadhaar seeded? Because there are many columns, many fields which, when we are asking in this e-SHRAM portal, which will come drop down or automatically from the Aadhaar to us. As soon as we link the Aadhaar number, we put the Aadhaar number, if it is correct, many columns, many fields will automatically come to us. So no need of filling it again by the person who is doing either in the self-registration or through the CSC, and the data will be secured. This I can assure you, data will be secured. It will not be shared. It is used only for the government policies and schemes and to have target beneficiaries. And let me tell you, one question was asked by the Mr. Sheikh and Madam Sonia ji also. What will happen to the schemes which is already run by the state governments and other things? Will this subsume? Let me clarify. This is a platform we are giving to unorganized workers. All the schemes and other things of the state governments will continue the way it is going on right now in their states. If the state governments, if the workers want to enroll themselves in the e-SHRAM, no questions asked. So they should have only just 3 things which I told you: Aadhaar card, Aadhaar link mobile number, and bank account detail. If they are registered with the state government also, let them be registered. It doesn't debar them to get registered here also. Because if you want to give some benefit from the government of India, it can be given. But if some state government want to give better benefit than this, they can use their platform also. But we want to make it encompassing all the things. Why to reinvent the wheel when the government of India has done the same thing? Because what happens, duplicacy creates a lot of problem to the state government also. Somebody raised this question, Mr. Deshpande raised, when the election comes, suddenly you see the boom of the registration in the different fields. That is the problem. If you just give a rampant permission to the thing, but this data which you are maintaining in the government of India, it will be very clean and very neat and clean data, which will have all the correct factual information, and this will be able to help us in any calamity. Any worker goes there, because we asked for in case of worker is migrant. I am from Himachal, or somebody comes from Bihar to Himachal. If he dies in an accident in the Hydel project in the Himachal Pradesh, nobody knows where he's gone, from where he comes, because migrant workers don't have identity. In this, we are asking their identity with Aadhaar card and all. We'll know what to be done. We can help their parents, their families, and we ask in the columns what skill you want to do it, because we want to later on match with the Ministry of Skill Development also. This data can be used with Skill Development also to develop their skill set. With the skill set which was applicable 20 years back or 15 years or 30 years back, it has been now redundant. A child which is going in the 8th class in the school is much more intelligent than the graduate which was passed out say 60, 70 years back, at least digital wise. Digital wise is much more literate than what all of us are there. Then whether e-SHRAM is only for central government was asked by Mr. Sheikh. No, This e-SHRAM scheme does not debar the state governments to have their own schemes. Whatever their portal they are going, they can have their own portal. But हम सब स्टेट गवर्नमेंट का आह्वान कर रहे हैं, please register all unorganized workers to the e-SHRAM portal so that we have got the one place shop for giving the benefits to everybody. They can also use this thing because the passwords, everything is also given to the state government officials also. Additional chief secretary of the labor and employment of the and labor commissioner of the state governments also, district magistrates also given. In the time of crisis, this will become very handy. One question is asked whether Narega, Mr. Deshpande asked, Narega is excluded in the view of the unorganized workers. Let me tell you, in this we need only the three things: Aadhaar card, mobile with the Aadhaar fitted number, and the bank details. We are not asking what he is doing if he is unorganized workers. Even if he is excluded in Narega in Maharashtra, even if he is included, because in some states Narega workers comes in the category of unorganized workers, so they can be also registered under the e-SHRAM portal. In fact, we have kept a provision of portability of Narega data and other data to this also. We are planning to have portability of those data also, so that we need not to reinvent, and the deduplication will be done at the later stage. And one thing, last but not the least, if somebody is, I'm an owner, my trade, I'm working as a plumber in somewhere, but I want to earn extra income. I'm a migrant worker in Delhi from the remote part of the UP. Morning I'm working as a plumber or electrician part time, but in the evening I'm Chana Murga mein, Gateway of India mein ya Delhi mein India Gateway mein bechta hu. That is a trade. So both are unorganized workers for us. So this what initial my remarks are. Whatever I try to cover the most of the questions what has been raised to me. I think I have replied to the majority of the questions which are raised by the most of the panelists. And I appeal to all of you and to all the panelists. I'll be sending all the material to you. In a big way, we are going to IEC component. We are going to have a big IEC component because I am a chief spokesperson of the ministry also. I look after the media also of the ministry. So we are going in a big way to this, to do it both print and electronic media, plus in the social media. Also, we are going in a big way because social media is a big handle, which most of the workers, they see when they got free time, they see the social media also in their language, जो उनकी आसान भाषा है, उसमें हम उनको समझा भी रहे हैं और आगे भी समझाते रहेंगे. And all the material which I have got, I'll share with Professor Shyam Sundar, and he'll share with all of you. But I request to the Madam Sonia and Mr. Sheikh and our Deshpande ji, my colleague in the Maharashtra government, to get involved. Those workers which are involved with you, get them registered as soon as possible. Because as said in the beginning, it is a duty of every citizen of the country to get the organized workers registered in the e-SHRAM portal. Because if somebody thinks, because some people think it's a duty of the central government only. It's not a duty of central government. It's a duty of everybody, center, state, even every citizen. So I appeal to all of you to get all the people registered on the e-SHRAM portal. e-SHRAM से जुड़े और आगे बढ़े. धन्यवाद.
Thank you very much, sir. You have given you have spent a lot of time and energy, and you are open to all kinds of suggestions, and you are very proactive, sir. We greatly appreciate the initiatives that you have taken, and you are open to suggestions. And I'm sure that under the leadership of the Union Ministry of Labor and the various state governments, and with the involvement of all the stakeholders, e-SHRAM will be a grand success. Thank you very much, sir, for your kind patience in answering all the questions, and we appreciate the time. And the questions that have been asked, Mr. Vishram Deshpande, would you like to answer some of the questions that have been asked? For example, people have said that, can we have an alternative other than Aadhaar? How do we tackle corruption by the middle agencies? Or what is the, what do the state governments propose to do in terms of holding the camps. Would you like to respond to these questions, Mr. Vishram Deshpande?
Hello. Yeah, I think very rightly said by Negi sir that they are going to in due course they are going to come out with camps, and they are going to involve the revenue machinery for holding camps and creating awareness about the e-SHRAM portal in the remote area also, that is in eastern states, and in the other parts also. They are going to come out with huge awareness, because definitely it is the public awareness that will definitely make any scheme successful. The moment there is awareness in the people, awareness in the beneficiaries about the use and benefits of this e-portal, definitely he will himself register, and he will make an attempt to register, and obviously all the things that are you have talked about will be taken care of. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Sonia Judge would like to add anything? And
yeah, I think we are really grateful to Negi sir for explaining our concerns. Means he has tried to answer or try to explain many of the issues that we have raised, but I think the issues are much beyond the registration on e-SHRAM portal for the informal sector workers. Means what I was trying to mention is, see, the unorganized sector workers in the country, the informal workers, no, they have been denied of means any rights that the organized enjoy in terms of minimum wages, no, in terms of other social securities that the formal sector in the country enjoy right now, or they benefit right now. Means one of the things that have come up, or I have forgot to mention, is no, in the courts it has been mentioned, means increasing the threshold of the workers, especially in the social security code, means under the definition in the formal and informal conditions, means from 10 and 20 it has increased to 20 and 40, means when the workers have to be categorized as formal in that particular. So while the government is going on increasing the threshold in these new administrative reforms and legal reforms that it is bringing, so that means more and more workers are becoming informal in this country, unorganized in this country, and they are being denied their basic rights. So so how could a collective bargaining is possible at this juncture? Means whether the e-portal will work out something on that, means because that is where I was raising one of the main concerns. Means there are people with workers, with employers, you know, with these middle persons, contractors or other people, and workers who are self-employed, workers who change their jobs, the multiplicity, and these are all very serious concerns that the informal workers in the country raise now. And how are we, whether this portal will ensure these rights to these workers? For example, ESI, means the Social Security Code clearly says that ESI will not be applicable for majority of the informal workers. So, or maternity benefit, or such kinds of gratuity, pension, those kinds of schemes, we are very sure, means that is there, means the insurance, death insurance or accidents insurance, all those things are there, and that those are general schemes that could be accessed for all in this country. But being a worker in this country, being representing or contributing significantly to the economy of the country, these workers, they they really represent the country's workforce. So that means they deserve really more. So that how the portal will ensure such a system that has to be established, negotiating systems and other kinds of system with a card that they are holding. That is what means we have to really ask in this, means once we get the card, what are we really getting from it? Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sonia Judge. Yeah. Yes, sir. Please, sir.
What Sonia ji asked is a very relevant question, because how the informality and formality is going to take care in the e-portal side, because it's a changing economy. But let me tell you, this whole process for having the e-SHRAM portal for the unorganized worker is that because we also, government, not only government, each one of us was already aware. I mean, the unorganized sectors doesn't have any social security, or I mean, the person who is the nation builder, he doesn't get any benefits, whether it's a pandemic or whether it's anything happens. That's why e-SHRAM portal was brought. But this portal is in the initial stages. As Mr. Deshpande said, a baby is born, but how now it's groomed and how it's taking further in future, that will ensure that this baby grows very healthy, and all the intended benefits come to the informal unorganized workers. It should not become just one slogan of the government and just does not remain in the portal, and no scheme flow from that. So that will ensure, and the government is very much committed to this. In the e-SHRAM portal, which was launched recently, it becomes a big success, not only in the center, but it becomes all the state governments also, and each and every informal sector person is also taken care of that thing. And some things which Madam Sonia said, definitely it's in the as a baby is growing now, and coming days it will grow more faster. Whatever the things which have been left behind, that can be also taken care in the coming days in the portal also.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Mr. Sheikh Salahuddin, would you like to?
So please unmute. Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir. Negi Reddy, Commissioner sir, giving to you information. one more और एक request है सर मेरी आपसे, ये जो स्टेट वाइज में हम लोग एक कुछ काम कर सकते हैं क्या सर, जैसे कि स्विगी, जोमेटो, अमेजॉन, ओला, उबर जैसे बहुत सारी कंपनीज है, वहां पे सारा गीग प्लेटफॉर्म वर्कर्स का डाटा ऑलरेडी पड़ा हुआ है उनके पास से. हम अगर गवर्नमेंट से उनको कुछ मांग के हम डायरेक्टली बल्क डाटा में हम लोग इसको ट्रांसफर करके अगर वहां से ले
Mr. Sheikh, I'll reply to you. We have called the meeting of the heads, India and Asia heads of the Ola, Uber, Amazon, Flipkart in ministry under the chairmanship of our minister. That is also in mind, because they got all the clean data with them. So automatically in one go it will come to us. That's why I said we will grow very fast in the coming days, because we call all the heads of all these gig and platform workers. Within a week or 10 days, a meeting will be chaired by our minister, Mr. Bhupendra Singh Yadav.
Thank you.
Sir, yes.
Please possible है तो हमें भी inform कीजिए, हम भी उस meeting में जुड़ना चाह रहे.
Sir, let me tell you, Mr. Sheikh, when we call the heads of these Asia and other things, let me tell you, you understand some protocols and all.
No.
Everybody can't be called, and both parties cannot be called. It's a tripartite arrangement is here, because this issue was in our mind, how to register these gig and platform workers. So because they got a clean data with them, so we thought we'll call them, and Mr. Chair, he'll tell them, and they have to comply with the law of the land. They'll, I think, very well do it, and it's for the, after all, let me tell you, all these big companies and all gig, this Ola, Uber, and Amazon and Flipkart, those are Zomato and other people. I mean, they are all law-abiding people, and they want people to help, and they got all the clean data with them. So why to reinvent the wheel? And we'll just straight away take from there, provided they have all the fields. And if they don't have those fields, we'll give to them, and they'll do it themselves, because their apps are absolutely superb.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Sheikh. I see the Father Dr. Denzel Fernandez has joined. He's also one of the hosts. Dr. Thanks, Father, for joining. Dr. Arjun Kumar, do you have a question? I mean, given that the time we have around 5 minutes.
Yes, I have some suggestions. Firstly was to use the database of MSMEs, because we have around 77 million of those also. So one newsletter, if goes, that can also be very effective. Other than that, we have a database of Mudra beneficiaries also. So mobile SMS can also go 3-4 crores because that is also 12, 13 crores more than loans has gone. And so for deduplication, if we use the database of PM Kisan already 11, 12, or how you are looking at, because the target which news everywhere is of 38 crores. So usme se to will have to reduce. So do you think what will be appropriate number, 20, 25 crores? How you are looking at it?
Arjun,
Yes.
Whatever you mentioned, we have already taken care of that.
Yes.
We will be using Narega data also, PM Kisan also, and all set of data, including MSME also, because 1.5 years back, I was additional secretary and financial advisor in the Ministry of MSME only. I was posted out from there 1.5 years back only. I was there only. They got data, but their data sets of MSME, very well, since you have got, there is some problem is there. But that data, as Mr. Deshpande said, somebody opened the middleman and all, they open the fake websites and all, they say, give us 1,000 rupees, we'll get you Udyog Aadhaar memorandum and other things. So some problem is there, but definitely the data will be cleaned, and the data sets which are cleaned in any government agencies, we don't want to reinvent those data sets, and we'll take from there only. And of course, we are involving all the wings of Government of India, state government also, MyGov, which is a part of the MeitY Ministry. They got a huge data set of the MSME, around 7-8 crores. All those mails, social media, and the IEC component, how to register and all, is going through the MyGov also. We are not going a big push to the social media, everything ready with me, because we know that site might get crashed, as somebody said from Maharashtra, because site went down and all. Because the teething problem is there initially in any software or any platform, teething problem comes in the country. So we'll be taking all care, Mr. Arjun.
सर दो बातें और बस फिर मैं आपके नजर में लाना चाह रहा था। श्याम सुंदर सर ने भी कहा कि एम्प्लॉयर्स को क्या इंसेंटिव आप देने का कुछ प्लान कर रहे हैं क्या?
Employer big incentive is that they should register the all organized workers in the e-SHRAM portal, because if they register in e-SHRAM portal, their productivity, I personally feel there's a not direct benefit, but indirectly their productivity increase, because the unorganized worker will feel कि the मालिक इनका ध्यान रखा. जैसे मैंने 300 लोगों को रजिस्टर किया, my maid and my driver, my many people who attached with me, they feel so grateful कि साहब ने हमारे लिए एकदम रजिस्टर कर दिया. So indirect benefit is there, employer is there, because we say each one of should become the employer, because see, government cannot give 100% job to everybody. Employer should be we are given one platform. If earlier there is no platform available in the country, we have one platform is there. It should be fully utilized by all the people, instead of asking the benefit. Of course, for CSC, we are giving 20 rupees for registration. Nobody should give even single pie to the CSC. If somebody is asking the money, there's illegal, that strict action will be taken. It is brought to my knowledge by some of trade union leaders in the Andhra, Kerala, and Tamil Nadu also. They phoned me, trade union leaders, because I'm in touch with the central trade union leaders also. They brought to my knowledge. They are not supposed to pay even a single rupee to anybody in the CSC.
सर ये जीवन ज्योति बीमा योजना और भी जो सर लाभकारी वेलफेयर स्कीम्स है गवर्नमेंट की, आयुष्मान भारत, तो लेबर के संदर्भ में टुवर्ड्स गोइंग एज अ सोशल सिक्योरिटी मेजर जो कि ई-श्रम बनेगा, तो क्या सर एडिशनल या इसके और क्या क्या एप्लीकेशंस आप आगे देख रहे हैं? ऑल्सो सर, डू यू ऑल्सो आर थिंकिंग टू इंटीग्रेट इट विद द कोविन प्लेटफॉर्म, कि उससे भी वैक्सीनेशन वगैरह माइटी के साथ और अभिषेक सर के साथ आगे उसमें कुछ सोच रहे हैं?
Let me tell you, right now all the platforms which are working, all the schemes which are working in different parts, different wings of the Government of India or the state government, they will continue to work the way it is working. If any ministry want to use our platform, they are most welcome to use this platform, because eventually this will become a universal account number. e-SHRAM card will become like a Aadhaar card for any worker. So it will be accepted anywhere. In the coming days, in the Mann Ki Baat of the Prime Minister and other episodes of the thing also, you'll see the Prime Minister is talking about the e-SHRAM card only. Regarding linking this with the COVID and all, COVID app is working very well. I think there's no need of mixing this with the this thing, otherwise it will get more problem than solving the more thing. COVID app is working perfectly all right. I think we have crossed more than 55 crores of COVID vaccine is there. So that is working very well. There's no need of linking this with that thing. But later on, how to take it from the other ministries and all, it is an that will be, as we move on, many more fields will be added or subtracted. Thank you.
Sir, I want to give you a free slogan advice. e-SHRAM will initiate labor market citizenship document.
I fully agree, because each SHRAM card will become like a Professor Shyam Sundar said very rightly, and I agree with him. And I say e-SHRAM से जुड़े और आगे बढ़े.
Sir, you can use it without giving me any fee. Labor market citizenship card.
Yes. I'll what did you say? Can you come again?
Labor market citizenship card.
Okay, but I would not say market, because some people say, why you are calling market? We are not Bikau thing, no. So we'll use some more word, no. Indian are as an Indian, we are very fussy also using the words also. It might take in other way also.
Employee citizenship card.
Yeah, like that, something of that sort. No? Kamgar citizen card.
Wait. Father Denzel Fernandez, would you like to add before we end? Okay, I think we need to be time bound. It's 6 o'clock. Thanks a lot. My thanks to all the panelists for keeping the time and making a very productive discussion. And I request Dr. Arjun Kumar to propose a word of thanks.
Thank you so much, sir. Such an enriching deliberation today on the progress of our center ministry, which has been taken, and really another stride on the digital front. So on behalf of IMPRI Center for Work and Welfare, IMPRI Impact and Policy Research Institute, Indian Social Institute, and Counterview, we thank all of you for joining us today on this very special panel discussion under our series, The State of Employment and Livelihoods, #employment debate on e-SHRAM portal, Shramev Jayate, National Database for Unorganized Workers, Impact and Way Forward. And our moderator for the session, Professor K.R. Sundar sir, thank you so much for your guidance. And our very esteemed panelists, Negi sir, Vishram Deshpande sir, Sonia George ma'am, and Sheikh Salahuddin sir, and all the participants for putting so much of interesting and enriching question. And thank you so much, Negi sir, and all your office also for coordinating so well and giving insights into what can be the real impact and way forward. And we all congratulate you for this endeavor, and we will like to support in whatever way possible. Thanking you once again, and to all the panelists joining here and on Facebook.
I just want.
Yes, those will be watching later. Shyam sir.
Negi sir, can we request whether this entire webinar proceedings be attached to any of your websites so that people can benefit?
I will also share.
I think putting a website in the official website, it will be not desirable, because then somebody will say, why is this added? Because there are many people come for such type of to us.
Right,
but this webinar recording, you can play it anywhere, because it's officially I'm talking to you. You can play anywhere. You can play in the YouTube or anywhere. That can be your choice. Because it's my duty of the CLC to disseminate the information and tell to everybody. And nothing can be better in the day when the Ganesh Chaturthi is there, and meeting such a learned panelist. It's really good, but you have to promise me, all of you should take it forward, and all of you are very learned, and I would like you people should write an article in the newspaper in the vernacular languages also, so that people are made aware of what the government is doing. Because sometimes what happens, a wrong narrative goes and people don't understand. People, they think they're just it's a one jumla. It's not like that. We are doing pretty serious business. We are playing with the lives of the people, with the unorganized workers. So kindly write the articles, disseminate the information in your respective states, respective branches also. Thank you very much, sir. I have to attend one more meeting. I'm already late. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, everyone. Jai Hind.
Thanks. Jai Hind.